Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. On Saturday, July 26th of this year, a horrendous crime spree happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, in case some of you may not be aware. At the expense of becoming repetitive, I will loosely go over the details. It seems that the city of Cincinnati has hosted something called the Ohio Valley Jazz Festival, now known simply as the Cincinnati Music Festival, since 1962. Growing exponentially through the years, it has hosted highly notable performers Aretha Franklin, Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, Luther Vandross, Gerald Levert, Patti LaBelle, New Edition, Earth, Wind and Fire, Lakeside, Whitney Houston, Stevie Wonder, Janet Jackson, along with many others. Now, it has come to a point where for several years now, black, quote, activists have said on local Cincinnati television newscasts that they were calling for all white-owned businesses in the city to be boycotted during the event. And for what good reason? None of the Cincinnati news stations felt the need to ask any further questions, instead lauding how, quote, great the event was. Going back decades, there have been some underlying racial tensions surrounding the Cincinnati Music Festival. The local police department knew fully well about it. The mayor's office knew fully well about it. The local news stations knew fully well about it. But for some woke nonsense reason, it was ignored, applauded, and otherwise treated as normal behavior. Up until now, that is. Now on Saturday, July 26th, two people of lighter skin tone were brutally beaten and kicked mob-style by an out-of-control, darker skin tone crowd, which obviously had some members who held a whole lot of hatred in their hearts for anyone of lighter complexion. And the DEI Cincinnati Police Chief, Teresa Thietke, has no answers for why a stronger police presence was nowhere to be found. In fact, Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Puraval then held the requisite press conference where he unsurprisingly denounced violence and said preventing violent crime in Cincinnati has been the singular top priority for city elders both before and after what police referred to as a violent attack downtown last weekend. Puraval went on to say that while data shows Cincinnati is, quote, on the right track in addressing violence, it means nothing if the public perception does not match. Well, duh. Too many Cincinnatians don't feel safe, Puraval said. We have to make the city safer right now. Ha ha ha! Allow this puppet to expound, folks. What we are seeing is a well-established ploy by elected officials to deflect blame, and mostly in dubious attempts to save their jobs, among other things. Additionally, avoiding multi-million-dollar settlements in favor of the victims is in the back of their minds as well. But folks, what did we actually have leading up to this horrendous crime spree on Saturday night? Nada, nothing. In fact, we actually saw a complicit city government and woke local news channels lauding the eventual perpetrators as they openly voiced their hatred for anyone with lighter skin colors. You had high-paid authorities either afraid to speak out against the garbage due to potential backlash from the BLM Antifa black racist crowd, or they quite simply were too weak-kneed to disagree with criminals in their midst. You cannot keep on year after year witnessing openly racist black people being interviewed on local Cincinnati newscasts, openly spewing their anti-white hatred for all to see, and never saying anything against it, and then act shocked and dismayed when two white people nearly lost their lives last Saturday night. Racism is racism, viewers, whether it comes from a black, white, Asian, or Hispanic person, and it needs denounced as soon as it raises its ugly head. Let's call a spade a spade. In fact, I would say the lead-up to this crime spree in Cincinnati actually began with Barack Obama, the race baiter-in-chief from 2009 to 2017. Under Obama, it was all race-based all the time. He never wasted an opportunity to divide this nation along racial lines that have been slowly healing since the 1960s. Obama decided that the way to build his power base was to lie and lie often, especially when it came to anything where race could possibly be used as a motive. Fast forward to the Biden years, Joe and Kamala only made matters worse, posting bond for arsonists and looters who destroyed American cities in the summer of 2020, then never once condemning the BLM riots or Antifa in even the slightest. Everything in the Obama and Biden administration was about stoking the racism fires, mostly where there were none, and dividing America at all costs. Simmering in that mix was the Cincinnati Music Festival and the racists who had been seething on anti-white hatred for years, all while the local government and media turned their eyes away. And now, viewers, the powder keg that had been sitting in Cincinnati, Ohio for decades has exploded, all while local authorities try their best to act surprised and look otherwise innocent. Do not buy it for a single minute, though. Why were the only music performers at the Cincinnati Music Festival of African ancestry when Cincinnati is made up of multiple ethnicities? Why were some of them rap acts with openly violent lyrics in many of their raps? Why was nothing said for years on local television newscasts as hateful racist people of African ancestry made openly racist blanketed remarks against people of lighter skinned ethnicities? Friends and colleagues, this puppet believes it is safe to say that this had built for decades, exacerbated by two presidential administrations bent on racial division in the United States of America, and unfortunately led to the brutal beatings of two innocent people on Saturday, July 26, 2025. The chickens came home to roost. In my estimation, I believe those two could sue the city and local media for their injuries and win big. We see regularly, viewers, people on TV denouncing white skinhead gangs and Nazis. What is the difference in what we have just seen happen in Cincinnati, Ohio? In fact, it is this puppet's distinct belief that the perpetrators of these heinous crimes need to be tried for hate crimes. What else would anyone with eyes who has seen any of the video of the crimes classify them as? Good night, my loyal viewers, and sleep well.